Right, so welcome back to the DTW podcast with me, DT. Now, I am very grateful to have a very interesting man with me today, a gentleman named Gareth Fox, based up in the lovely Armagh, and sports hypnotherapist, peak performance coach, as well as a journalist and a writer. Lots of stuff going on. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. And also what I like about it is, like, I know nothing about any of that stuff. Don't tell my PhD supervisor, but I don't even know what to write. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. But before we begin, guys, I would just like to give another plug. We are now on Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So if you could subscribe and like, that makes my job a lot easier. The producer stopped kicking my ass. Right, so Gareth, welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. I'm delighted that you're able to take time out of your day to come on and chat. So yeah, let's just start from the top. Hypnotherapy. What is it, Gareth?
What is it? I think the best way to describe hypnotherapy is that it's simply a tool. It's not anything new. It's simply a tool to do something, which is to change the things that you believe, basically. It's your beliefs are stored in a certain part of your brain that's very difficult to access consciously.
Okay.
But hypnotherapy, basically what it does, the technique is that it recreates a type of brain frequency, which is the same brain frequency that you have when you're dreaming.
Okay.
And that means that you get to access your subconscious mind. So you can go right into where you want to be, the juicy part. And that's when you can access the information that you've stocked there, and you can change that information. So it's basically, it's simply just a tool
to tap into the subconscious mind. Very interesting, because I would have a bit of reading on subconscious mind. I do find it fascinating, but to be able to access it through a form of therapy, I find that really interesting, man. And you do a lot of stuff with sports teams as well, right? Like there's obviously the whole premise of this podcast is well-being, physical health, positive mental health. So when you kind of reach out to me, I was like, yeah, that sounds fucking very interesting, because with the hypnotherapy, obviously that's with the subconscious mind, but that you have such a background in sports yourself and the sports hypnotherapy. So how does hypnotherapy help sports teams or athletes?
So let's say you are, let's say you play GAA, because a lot of my clients at the moment, GAA. So let's say you play GAA, but you have performance anxiety, which means that every time
we actually don't have to go too far into the imagination here. Very recently, I was a Gaelic footballer with performance anxiety. So let's go.
Right. So you're a Gaelic footballer. You had performance anxiety. I was a Gaelic footballer. I had performance anxiety. I was a soccer player. I had performance anxiety. I had no idea what it was.
Same.
Absolutely no idea what this thing was. I just, come match day, couldn't perform. Training, perfect. Anything, perfect. Come match day, I would either get injured, I would question my fitness before the game. I would be, especially with soccer, I would be sick. I spent 3 years sick before every game.
Wow,
every
man.
game I was sick. I would run into the toilet when the team were warming up, and I would physically be sick. So I had performance anxiety. Now, how hypnotherapy helps that is that performance anxiety is a belief. It's the sort of the symptom of a belief that you have about you in your environment, and it's really closely related to rejection. A belief about rejection, but it's not a belief about rejection on face value of I'm going to get rejected by my manager and my team. It's a belief about rejection on your survival, because there's so much more to this than meets that. Because your subconscious mind, it can't decipher what is a game of football and what is you living in an environment where there's a dangerous predator that could kill you. So it just has the same reaction. So if you're going in with this negative sort of belief that you're going to underperform and you're going to be taken off, your conscious mind immediately goes, okay, rejection. So what does rejection mean? Rejection means separation from the group. I'm not in my tribe and I'm out by myself. Well, then either I could die of hunger because I can't collect the food in the same way as I can with my group, I can die of sickness because I don't have that group around me to cure me, to help me, or I could die from a predator. So the fear of rejection is the ultimate fear. And that's what performance anxiety actually is. It's nothing really to do with the game of football.
Yeah.
It's this separation from the group, because your survival mind just wants you to always be part of a group. If you can remain part of a group, then your chances of survival double, triple, quadruple, whatever you want.
Yeah. So
when you're going into this game and you're saying to yourself, look, oh, I'm going to have a bad one today. My man's going to play this. He's going to do that. I'm going to miss the free kick. Your survival mind is just basically saying, oh, we're going to be separated from the group.
Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. I've read over and over that like emotional pain and rejection from a group is as painful, if not more painful than physical pain, you know that. And you know, there's not a difference in your mind regarding it, but they do say the emotional pain can even be more painful, or you know, damaging, and especially that removal from groups and rejection. Difficult, man. So the hypnotherapy helps with stuff like this, or is it? Did you get an understanding of it, or is this something that you've helped with athletes before to reduce that performance anxiety through hypnosis or hypnotherapy or whatever the term is?
What I would do with an athlete who has performance anxiety, we would find out what the belief that they have is. They have a belief, a limiting belief about themselves in that environment, which is causing this reaction, this survival reaction. So we want to find out what that belief is. And then we want to take that belief away, and we want to create a new belief, a better belief, because the players who perform the best are comfortable in that environment.
Yeah.
So we want to make you, for example, so I have you in a session, because where I differ from I think a lot of, if not all people I know who working in sports therapy, is that I actually work as a therapist. Now, the added advantage is better performance, but I'm going to work on you as a person.
Brilliant.
And I'm going to find out what your belief is. I'm not going to go, okay, what is your belief about sport? I'm going to find out what is your belief in that environment. Okay, we're going to work on a personal level, and we're going to find out what that is. And now with hypnotherapy, because you can go directly into the subconscious mind, we're going to give you a more beneficial belief. So if you can go into a game of football now with this belief that, look, I'm okay in this environment, I'm actually confident in this environment, then you don't have that fight or flight stress response, which means that you don't limit your performance, because fight or flight stress response tightens your muscles, speeds up your breathing, reduces the blood going to your extremities, so your hands are cold, your feet are cold, your muscles are tight. You can't jump as high, you can't reach as high, you can't run as fast. And if we can make you feel comfortable, then you don't switch that on, which means you perform better.
Of course you do. Like, of course you would, because that's too much to deal with when you're out in a football field with 30 other lads, and like there's no hiding place then. I remember that. I remember playing Gaelic football, and primarily I played full forward. I didn't want the ball coming into me. I was so nervous and anxious, and I played all my life and played, you know, a high enough level, but there were times in my life that, you know, I just didn't even want the attention to be on me, and it was just performance anxiety. And I do remember that specifically, especially maybe early 20s. But interesting stuff, man. So look, just for the sake of the conversation, right, the sake of the interview, let's just pretend that I'm a big ticko from Cork. Let's pretend that is true, and we're pretending here, okay? Everybody, we're just pretending. This is the premise of the podcast. I'm a big ticko from Cork. Let's pretend. What is the subconscious mind?
The subconscious mind is, what's the best way to describe it? So over time and through evolution, we've evolved to have a conscious mind, which majority, if not all animals, as far as I'm aware, don't have. This is what separates us. It's this conscious mind, which is the front mind, which allows us to be creative, which allows us to analyze, which allows us to do so many logical things. The subconscious mind is the thing that learns from experience and creates a pathway in order for you to stay alive on this planet. Subconscious mind is touch a flame, ow, that hurt, logged in a program. We won't do that again. Subconscious mind is repeating the alphabet 30, 40, 50, 60 times. Okay, now we know the alphabet in here. That's the program that we use when we need to use the alphabet. Subconscious mind is after you do all the actions of how to learn how to drive, logs in the subconscious mind. You don't need to think about driving anymore. You just execute everything. That's what it is. It's the survival mind that goes on in the background in your day-to-day, which keeps you alive. All the thoughts that you have that you don't know you're thinking, it basically makes up for, apparently we have around 65,000 thoughts a day, and your subconscious mind makes up for 95% of those thoughts.
Wow.
Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. You're not thinking that, you're just walking. But your mind is deploying a program that makes that action happen. Driving a car, like I used, is one of the best examples of the subconscious mind. It's autopilot. It's you doing all the things that you do during the day that you're not consciously thinking about, but that gets you from A to B alive.
Interesting. And with your hypnotherapy, is that a way to kind of access that subconscious mind and kind of, because 95%, like that's a lot, right? 95% of anything, like the 5% you think would be less significant, but all I'm conscious of are like, would be thinking about is my conscious mind, and how to maybe improve upon that or work on that in terms of like cognitive functionality or my writing stuff. That's conscious. But if the subconscious, if 95% of my thoughts are subconscious, can we add in some influence there? Can we help with our subconscious minds? How do we do that?
So you create a new program through repetition. That's how you learn everything. Okay, so that is the writing in your journal every day, your affirmations. You're creating a new program. And what a program is it's a connection between neurons. We can see that. We actually have video footage now of how neurons connect.
Okay.
If you repeat the action over and over again, your neurons are going to create a new circuit, and this becomes your new belief. And that fires all the time. That as soon as the circuit is created, that's what fires over and over again. Like in science class, when you had a light bulb and you attach from a battery, you attach the cables, and suddenly the circuit is complete and the light stays on all the time. And then you take off a cable, the light goes off. You reattach, and it's a circuit.
Okay.
So that's a belief, and that's a program. Now, what you want to do is you want to repeat over and over and over again the same action or the same thought to create a program that's going to fire in the background all the time. However, if you're holding a belief already in your subconscious mind, which is the opposite of the new belief that you're trying to put through, you won't really change that belief, because that's called cognitive dissonance.
Yes.
It's really important. Cognitive dissonance means that your brain cannot hold two opposing thoughts or beliefs at the same time. So this is Joe Bloggs, who tries every day, and this is why positive thinking and a lot of this I find is really harmful, because a lot of people put a lot of effort into making their life better constantly. But so I am this, I'm strong, I am courageous, I am brave. However, if you hold a subconscious belief, which is the opposite of that, you're really going to struggle to change that belief.
Can we change those limiting beliefs though? Is there something that we can do in the subconscious to go into, all right, those beliefs are there and we have them from our childhood or whatever, and they're now stopping us through cognitive dissonance developing these opposite thoughts. Is there a way that we can kind of reverse engineer it? It was like, get in, fix that, and then start a new one. Is that possible?
That's what I do. That's hypnotherapy. Now,
we got there. 20 minutes in, I figured things out. Thanks for that.
But that's what it is. So, like, at the moment, let's say my Instagram page is called Sports Hypnotherapy, but that's only because a lot of my clients are athletes. I'm a hypnotherapist, so I work with everyone, which means that a lot of my clients I have are for depression, for anxiety, for money blocks, for phobias, for fears, success blocks, people who can't get to where they want to go because there's something limiting them in the background. They can push as far as they want consciously, but 6 months later, they find themselves back in that situation again. Oh, what is it? Why can I not break that wall?
Yeah.
Why can I not move forward? And that's because autopilot has an opposing belief.
Okay.
You're not brave. You're not courageous. You're not good enough.
We pick them up, like those negative beliefs or limiting beliefs we tend to pick up in our early years, right? When we're in school and things like that.
But that's how it's supposed to be. That's a natural thing, because the whole point of when we're younger is we have a brain frequency as adults that we don't have as kids. We have beta brain frequency, which is high, middle, and low beta brain frequency, which means that we're able to analyze information. Right now, that's what we're using. You're listening to what I say and you're analyzing it. Kids don't have this. From the last trimester of pregnancy until around the age of 7, they don't have that. They haven't developed that analytical mind. They just absorb information. And this is important. It's vitally important that they do, because what they have to learn as children is how to live in a group. Because we have that rejection idea again. If you don't learn how to live in a group, then you're going to be rejected from that group and you're going to die, because something is going to get you. Hunger is predator. So that's why we are created with this lack of analytical mind to absorb everything from our tribe, our tribal leaders, our parents.
Yeah.
And then once we get that analytical mind, then we can then execute everything that someone has taught us about how to live in a group. Unfortunately, we can't decide as kids what we believe. We just everything. So if you have a parent who's constantly saying to you, yeah, but rich people are ignorant, but you don't want money, money's dirty. You hear that enough, bang, you've created a belief that slips into your subconscious mind. Consciously, you say to yourself, look, I want to be successful. I want to have this and that in my life. And you have this much stronger belief. It's 5 times stronger. Your subconscious belief is 5 times stronger than your conscious belief that says rich people are ignorant.
Wow.
So you're not going to break that belief, and you're not going to break that wall, because that belief is your survival belief.
Okay.
Who's going to win? Because if it was easy to break a survival belief, then we wouldn't live as long.
Interesting.
So what hypnotherapy does is that it recreates the same brain frequency that you had as a kid, which is alpha and theta brain frequency, which means that you relax. Hypnotherapy is basically relaxing your nervous system.
Okay.
Because your analytical mind is attached to the top of your nervous system, the top of your spine. If you can relax your nervous system and relax your analytical mind and go into alpha or theta brain frequency, then you can accept new information without analysis, which means that if you have this belief that says, hey, rich people are ignorant, and I just said you love being rich, you love being successful, it excites you. Consciously, you're going to go, no, but rich people, you know, right into that sweet spot, then we give you a new belief and we replace the old belief.
Nice,
So
man.
That's what hypnotherapy is.
Very, very, very cool. And these lads on the stage to make people look like chickens, is that similar? So
basically, that's what I thought hypnotherapy was. And
I was kind of hoping it. My premise for the podcast, you were after fucking everything up for me. So I was like, all right, at about this point, I'll ask him to turn me into a chicken, put him on the spot. I'm listening.
But the thing is, right? So the first thing a stage hypnotherapist does is he asks everyone to look up. The reason why he does that is because when you look up for long enough, your eyes start to flutter, which is rapid eye movement, which is dream state.
Okay.
So that's the alpha theta brain frequency. So a hypnotherapist will get loads of people on stage and go, okay, I want everyone to look up. And if they don't see the twitch in the eye, they'll send that person back down again because they know that they're less suggestible. Now,
okay.
It's simply about accepting suggestions. So yes, I actually, in the beginning, I thought, no, it's a load of bullshit, but I do believe that can work because I've been hypnotized loads of times. I had to be during my training. And what you understand through hypnosis is that you're in complete control at all points, but it's so much easier to just accept information. It's so easier to accept suggestions. Now, I had a phobia of wrists. I had phobia of wrists. I couldn't have people touch my wrists. During my training, my practicing, I made someone work on me on that. And I just accepted what they said, which is, look, you're fine with people touching. And I just accepted this information. I didn't go, no, I'm not. I just went, oh, yeah. Which means that if someone's on a stage and someone says, look, you're going to go around now and act like a chicken, you kind of go, yeah, okay, I'm going to go around and act.
I'd do that with anybody. I would like, yes, I was waiting for this opportunity. You don't have to be a hypnotherapist to make me do that. But look, that is really interesting. And those years, before we just move on, Gareth, but those years that we really have, you know, that what those kids are absorbing and that information that they're getting that really has massive influence in their subconscious, what are the most crucial years for that? So like, if there might be people listening to this now, there might be parents or they might be expecting, like, is there a certain like a age bracket where the kids are more likely to take up these beliefs that will affect their adult subconscious?
So it's basically between the last trimester in pregnancy and around 7 years old, because that's around 7 years old is when they start to form that analytical mind, which means that you can then say to them, whatever it is, I want you to run to the kitchen and get my tea, and I'm going to count how long it takes you to do that. And they can now go, no, because they analyze, what's he looking at?
Okay.
That kind of thing. That's why young kids don't get sarcasm, because they can't understand the information. They take everything at face value. They're like, okay, let's go do that then. No, he's taking the piss. They just accept, because they don't have that analytical mind. They don't have the brain frequency to allow them to be able to analyze.
Nice.
So for parents, we are all formed by our parents or our carers. Whoever cared for us when we were younger is who give us our beliefs. 95% of you is not actually you. It was given to you by someone else. That's why so many people become their parents. Oh, I never wanted to be my dad, and now I'm 45 and I'm just my dad. Well, that's not your dad. Created you. He created 95% of what you believe about the world.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And it was only somebody else asking me recently, because I'd always talk about my parents, you know. My dad is a PE teacher. He's my dad's the athlete in our house. Like, he would have been senior footballer, like played soccer, basketball at a high level. And then my mom is big into like energy, Reiki, reflexology, that kind of, and then there's Daniel in the middle, you know. And even like anatomically, like my father would be like quite athletic, but my mom would be tall and skinny, and you know, it just makes sense. But yeah, down the line on both of my folks, and that makes sense.
But the thing is, it doesn't, like, we can have positive experiences through that, depending on your parents, or negative experiences.
Yeah.
Values that parents give you. Now, a lot of my clients have had hugely negative experiences, but not just from parents. It's always whatever tribe that you find yourself in. And I'm going to use that word tribe because that's what our bodies think. They think it's tribe because we live in a new environment in an old body. We're still in hunter-gatherer bodies. Like, not physically, anatomically has changed that much. So we're still based on that idea of survival. Now, if you go to school, your teacher is your tribe leader. So whatever that teacher says, you believe. If you play football, whatever sport, whatever the coach says to you, you believe. Now, let's say, for the sake of it, let's talk about sports hypnotherapy. So when I'm working with athletes, the things that the people in responsibility have said to these people when they're young or middle-aged, truly atrocious. Absolutely atrocious, which creates the most limiting beliefs that this person can. I had a client very recently, a young Gaelic player in his early 20s, who at 19, now it doesn't have to be specifically between those ages, all you need is enough emotional trauma to set down a survival belief, because your mind's going to go, oh, we feel really bad, oh, there must be something dangerous in our environment. What is it? Oh, it's what that person said. Okay, I can't do that thing again. So I had a client whose manager said to him at 19, you may as well not have been playing. And he said that in front of the whole team. So
man. These people shouldn't be coaches. Like, these people shouldn't be involved with teams. Like,
but you know yourself, it's happened through the whole way through underage. I had it through all my underage career. Now, this happened in front of his team, which meant that he had this rejection possibility. If I keep doing this thing, I'm going to be rejected from my group, which is life or death. Something's going to kill me. I can't do that thing. So therefore, he's completely crippled with performance anxiety. He doesn't want to play anymore. He doesn't want to be in the environment which causes the possibility of rejection. So performance anxiety is just something that your body, it's like a program that your body gives you to keep you away from that dangerous environment. A panic attack is trying to tell you that you don't want to go and do that thing because that's dangerous. It's logged in a program that says that thing that you did previously, which had horrible outcome, which had give us horrible emotions. We don't want you doing that again because that means life or death. Okay, you're going to go do that thing. Here's a panic attack. Don't do that thing. It's a survival mind, which is so much more powerful than your conscious, and it's going to win all the time. So this player, he goes to play now. He's fine in training, goes to have his game completely crippled by performance anxiety. So he's stressing. He switches on fight or flight in the warm-up, and basically by the end of the warm-up, he's got no cardio left because he's flooded his muscles with blood to get him out of there. Fight or flight. He's got no feeling in his hands because it takes away the blood from your extremities. He can't catch the ball. Someone gives him a fist pass in the little warm-up, he drops it, and immediately he goes, I'm going to play crap today.
I remember that. What you just described there, I remember living that experience. I remember that. The warm-up was so significant. I was like, oh, bollocks. And you're training. You're like, oh, fuck, you know? And it's madness. Like, it's not like, you know, the fact that if it's created by the group environment or the tribe leader, well, that's how counterproductive is that? How self-defeating is that when we're giving these...
That's exactly what it is. And I would say potentially 80% of our athletes have this potentially. If I have so many clients that are coming to me with these issues, like even clients who come to me around issues around injury, have been told something that they now believe. It could be someone gets injured, and then 2 years later, they get another injury. And then the manager says, but you're injury prone. You're always going to be injured, aren't you? Suddenly there's a belief that gets installed. I'm always going to be injured.
Yeah.
This player doesn't want to step out in the field anymore because they just think, I'm going to be injured. That's what's going on in the background. And so beliefs are created so easily, and negative beliefs limit us so much, like not just in sport, but in the whole... in everything that we do, we can have negative beliefs which stop us. Like someone can tell you on a repeated basis, a teacher, you keep handing in work. You could be in primary school, a couple of drawings, and the teacher goes, yeah, but that's not good enough. That's rubbish. And you feel emotionally like embarrassed. You download a belief which is, don't show my best work because my best work isn't good. Play it safe. Because we risk being separated from that tribal leader. Play it safe. Don't show your work. Don't whatever. Then it comes to being an adult. You procrastinate. Why do you procrastinate? Because you don't want to show your true worth. Because that's always put you in danger. So don't do any work. Just do half of the work because that's the best way to do it. Don't go for a job interview. Don't give your best because your best isn't good enough, and that's going to separate us from the group. We're going to be rejected by someone again. So let's play it safe. That's what it is. Procrastination is a program that your survival mind has invented to stop you doing something that it thinks is going to be dangerous for your survival.
Okay. And Gareth, so like, and these are all things that we're all aware of, that we've experienced in our lives, or people in our lives, you know, that, you know, what do they say about like perfectionism is just insecurity with lipstick on, you know? It's just like, you know, it's the same thing because, and you know, we can hold ourselves back. I speak a lot about self-fulfilling prophecies as well. You know, it's just like, if we don't think good enough, our best is going to be good enough, we don't try at all. But that was the excuse. Sure, I didn't try. Of course I didn't do well. You know, they won't want to be hurt. And like, what would be your kind of recommendations to individuals that might find themselves, they're listening to this podcast now and they're like, you know, there's a red flags going up. It's like, that's me. Like, that is something that I do. I do hold myself back. I don't do my best work. I procrastinate. And they might also have developed with awareness during this podcast that maybe that has something to do with limiting beliefs I developed in my childhood, or maybe that is something that is part of my psyche or subconscious. What would you recommend in terms of, if these are the problems, what is the solution, Gareth?
So perspective plays a huge part in anything. Perspective, like how you look at the things that you do can be changed to have a positive meaning. So you can always change the things that you do. There's certain things that I worked as a teacher for a long time, and even before I started to get into what I do now, I noticed how deflated and just how self-critical a lot of my students were. And so I used to give them certain words to put on the end of the sentences, like, I don't know that. And I would just say, okay. And they'd go, oh yeah, I don't know that yet.
Nice.
So that's just a little word that creates the possibility for change. And that will really excite your mind, because your mind gets excited by things. Like if you say to yourself enough times, I'm going to do this, I'm going to blah, 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 you feel the endorphins released in your body. So your vocab is very important. Pay attention to how you speak about yourself.
I was gonna ask you this, Gareth. So a little bit of research I went in. I know that you have kind of like quite a bit of expertise in terms of self-talk, and I know the value of it. I know how important it is, and I know how transformative it can be. Because I was a guy that had lots and lots of negative self-talk, and my experience and my life reflected that. And now I'm a guy with lots and lots of positive self-talk, and now my life reflects that. So I can see the power in it. But could you explain from your level of expertise to the audience the importance of self-talk, give it a context, what works for you, what would you recommend to your clients?
So basically, self-talk is vital, because you take on board what you say more than you take on board what anyone else says. And if you have this self-talk, which is so deflating, so limiting, so negative, your energy goes where your focus is. So you're never going to create anything better than what you said to yourself. That's a fact. Nothing is ever going to come out of. If you say to yourself, I can't do that because I'm not good enough, you won't be able to do it. There's no part of you that can ever do it. Now, if you can change that and say that I can do that, I will be able to do that eventually, I'm going to do that, then that will completely transform how you look at, first of all, the task, and that will give you the steps to be able to go and do that, because your focus is on doing it. Your energy created that you're creating helps you do that thing. Now, self-talk is also about beliefs. Now, all my work is about beliefs, because beliefs, you are, let's say you're a building, right? You as a person are a building, and each one of your beliefs are the bricks that go together to create that building. If you have negative bricks, then you have a negative building. That's it. You are 100% what you believe.
Yeah.
So if you can create this positive self-talk and really go for it and get at it every day, then you put in positive bricks and you're going to have a positive shaped building. It will change your environment, because your beliefs create your environment. Your belief about me is creating this conversation that we're having. Your belief when you step outside about certain shops, let's say a very simple thing, your belief about what you get in certain shops will create what you get in certain shops. If you walk into a shop and say, look, but they only have crap in here, you will get crap.
Yeah.
Because your mind is always looking to be to reaffirm your beliefs, because it's looking out for your survival. So if you have a positive belief, your mind will always find reaffirming things in your environment which go along with that belief. If you have a negative belief, through negative self-talk, your mind will always find things that reaffirm that belief. So if you walk by and say, I'm crap, I'm rubbish, your mind goes, look, we need to find something that reaffirms that we're crap, we're rubbish. Because okay, that's why we're crap, that's why we're rubbish. Now, if you walk around and I'm courageous, I'm curious. That's my favorite one. It's actually my favorite. I have my own affirmations and I do them. I self-hypnotize. And I am enough.
Yes.
And I'm curious.
Nice.
And that's
beautiful.
That for me creates, now it took me a long time to find my own affirmations, because before I started all this, I worked with a coach, like a life coach. When I was a writer, really struggling to write, it was a creative coach who was a life coach. And she said to me, look, I want you to think about affirmations and what affirmations fit you and what affirmations suit. And it took me a long time to find the ones that really got me going. And I said to myself, look, I am enough. That changed everything. That changed my landscape, because once you're enough, You don't need to fill up anything. You don't need anything from your environment because you're full.
You're whole. You're perfect as you are. You're exactly where you should be, and you're doing exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah. And the second one was, I am curious. And every time I say that to myself, I smile. And that's how I know that's the right one for me. And as soon as I say to myself, look, I am curious, it opens up a huge world of possibilities.
Yes.
And it's like a bypass of fear.
Yeah. And it's also kind of subtly and maybe just indirectly acknowledging the fact that there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. Like when you realize you don't, that's where pure wisdom comes from. The fact that the more you know that you don't know, if that makes sense, and that curiosity will fulfill that salience. Being curious will make you read more books and maybe challenge your perspective on things, and that makes you a wiser individual.
I think it creates in me as well humility, which is something that I didn't have not even very long ago. I didn't have humility because I was walking around I created an identity, and if we have time, I'd love to talk about identity because I think it's really important. But I created an identity that I was a writer, right? An Irish writer living in France. That's
nice. Was it Nice? Was it nice? Was it in Nice? No.
No, it wasn't Nice. It wasn't in Nice. Although when I moved to France, I flew to Nice, and I was wearing like 2 tweed jackets and iron wool jumpers, and it was the middle of August. It was 40 degrees.
Spot the paddy off the flight.
Spot the paddy, and I didn't speak French, and it was. But I created an identity which separated myself from everything, and that's what I was walking around with. I have to be suffering. I have to be this. I have to be that. That created my environment, and I really didn't like neither who I was or what I was living. And then, but I wasn't even. I wasn't humble. I was very much, I'm a writer. Who are you? I'm a writer. My identity, like judge me on this identity, and I've chosen an identity of it's up here. This is who I am. And so I wasn't humble, but I also wasn't curious because I created an identity which was really rigid.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid to go beyond that identity of I'm a writer, I'm struggling, life is difficult, everything is dark, I only wear dark clothes. Then when I couldn't write anymore and I went to this coach and I found this affirmation of I am curious, it completely changed who I was. My identity changed.
Wow.
I can't even define myself today because my identity hopefully is blurred, which allows me to
love that.
So many other things.
We're in flux. Every day you wake up, you're changing, you're growing. We shouldn't be able to define ourselves. I couldn't define me. I don't think anybody else could. And I think that's healthy, man, because I don't want to be the same person I am in 10 years' time. You wasted a decade if that's the case. And Gareth, I was going to ask you there actually, and I think you touched on it there, but if we have these, we were talking about the blocks, and many people's blocks, no matter what it is, the blocks are negative. So their beliefs are negative and their life is negative, right? And you've experienced that. I've experienced that. And we might be able to cognitively understand that if I change the blocks to positive, my beliefs become positive and my life becomes positive, right? And that's understandable. But people will find it difficult to do that, practically. So do you think there's any resources or any, like what you just said there about your creating those mantras and coming around that little simple statement that I am curious was started to change your blocks? Is there any resources that are out there or things that you would recommend to go if they wanted to change those thoughts from negative to positive, resources that people can access?
Look, there's a world of literature on how to change your beliefs. Now, I am for everyone on the journey of self-development. I just think you have to be careful of the resources that you use simply because of this idea of cognitive dissonance. I think it's a very important thing that a lot of people don't know about. And so it turns a positive movement forward into a really negative movement backwards because they make that jump to the next level. And then they think that's because that next level isn't available to me. I'm not good enough for that. I'm doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. Now, resources, always read on these things, but don't take anything as the be all and end all because it's self-development, it's a journey. Now,
and everybody, just like you and I, should be curious.
Yes.
And the more you're curious, the more you read, you'll find something that will just jump out to you. And I feel as though like there's wisdom in that, man, because, you know, the more kind of avenues you pursue, the higher the likelihood of finding something that will work for you, because we're all individuals, and what works for you and I mightn't work for anybody else. But that curiosity, I think, will bring people into maybe the potentiality of turning negative thoughts into positive thoughts, and we will find a way to do it. But I do believe that, because, you know, how you talk to yourself, like as you said, you talk to yourself more than anybody else in your world. So that self-talk is absolutely crucial. And if there's anybody out there like me that would have had a lot of negative self-talk, I think you just have to be proactive in going around changing that. And what you're saying there with the hypnotherapy, with the reading, with the being curious, but I just think it's like engaging with the process. Don't be passive, and don't accept these negative thoughts and negative beliefs and negative life as your existence, because it's not a life sentence. We can change these things, can't we?
Yeah, but that's the great thing about it, is that you are the most powerful person in your life. Take back your power. Like, don't rely on other people to change your environment, because like that's why I love doing the job I do, because I find that it feels empowering for me, because I give people power, because their beliefs that we are now creating. What do you want to believe? Okay, let's believe that thing. And then you become a reflection of your beliefs, not of my beliefs, they're your beliefs. And
nice.
So once you can take your power back, it moves you from being a victim, to, let's say, to being vulnerable. Vulnerability is one of the best places that you can be. People are so frightened of being vulnerable. No, it means that you've put yourself in a place for progress. Victim, you've taken power of your life out of your hands. You've someone else. And that's a very good step, is to learn how to look at your life. Anyone listening and they're saying, look, I'm struggling at the minute, what do I do? Take a pen and a piece of paper, the two best tools in the world.
Yeah.
Look at your life. Write down where you are right now. Write down what it is that you're feeling. And then instead of defining a specific goal, and this is where goals, like modern day self-development, and even olden time self-development, I have a bit of a difficulty with it, because things aren't explained in the way that perhaps I believe they should be. I'm not specific about my goals. I don't say I want to have this and that. I say I want to feel.
Yeah.
And that. Get really clear on what you want to feel, and do everything that you know makes you feel like that. I want to feel light on a daily basis. I want to feel light. What makes me feel light? Reading makes me feel light. Connecting with my friends makes me feel light. So I create habits every day of 30 minutes reading. It's only 30 minutes. I'm going to read for 30 minutes every day. I'm going to phone one of my friends every day. And so therefore I'm getting in touch with the feelings I want to have, which brings me so much closer to the goals that I kind of loosely set for myself. Because if I say to myself, I want to be such and such, then I look at it and I go, what are the feelings that are created by that thing? Okay, what are the actions that I can take to get those feelings? Okay, I want to fill my world full of feelings and emotions, and not full of things, but full of these feelings and emotions. And they will bring about the goal. The goal will be completely achievable, because you're in line with that goal. If you're recreating the feelings that goal is supposed to bring you, then you're in line with that goal. So for anyone, pen, piece of paper, write down where you are. Doesn't matter if where you are looks negative, accept it. That's okay. Accept it, because that's not the rest of your reality. That's the first day of your big change, your change in momentum. And then write down, what do you want to feel? Don't get very sort of out of context and say, I want to be a millionaire and I want a huge house and whatever. That's a big step for anyone who's on the first day. Simply say, I want to feel like this. And then write another list. These are the things that I like doing that make me feel like this. Okay, so what do we do? Every day I'm going to spend 30 minutes doing one of those activities. I have 30 minutes. I do 30 minutes on Instagram or on Facebook. Okay, I'm going to limit that time to create 30 minutes to do something that makes me feel like I want to feel. And that will build the momentum to change your reality.
Brilliant. Brilliant advice, Gareth. And look, listen, it's been such a pleasure chatting to you there now. And I know that we're going to have to, we have the hour, and I so value your time and coming on, because I know you're a busy man as well. How can people reach out to you, Gareth? Because, this window of opportunity that I got for the hour, I want more. So if people want more information from you or want to reach out, how do they find you?
I'm only starting to get into social media now. So I've got an Instagram account that's called at Sports Hypnotherapy. Mm-hmm. And then I have a Facebook account, which is Gareth Fox RTT. Mm-hmm. And then I'm a journalist, so I write articles for Gaelic Life about sports mindset and how people can increase that. And then I also just do, but most of these I put on my Facebook anyway. So all my articles about money, about relationships, weight loss, things like that.
Nice.
All on my Facebook page. So yeah, just get me there. And look, I think
check him out, DTW followers. Check him out.
Exactly.
If there's one thing that Gareth Fox can do, we can tap into your subconscious and we can change our existence through these positive bricks. Isn't that right, Gareth?
That's it. Look, and anyone wants to send a message, because I love connection. I think connection is so important. So I'm not afraid to connect with people. I find that we've got this platform to connect and no one connects anymore. Like social media, I always leave a comment on things that I like, or someone puts something on their feed or their whatever that story is, I'll comment on it. I think no one really gets into that, but it's like, let's connect with each other and let's sort of lift that.
They're called social networks for a reason, Gareth. Let's get social. I'm so glad that you reached out to me. This conversation has been the most interesting we've had so far, because again, the level of ignorance that I have, and it's just fascinating, man. And I don't know anybody other that does the work that you do. If I did, I'd be up on stages as a chicken way more often. But Gareth, you're an absolute gem. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll definitely be in touch again, right? And everything that you're doing in the world, man, keep it going, because you're making an impact. And I know that for sure. And that vulnerability that you spoke of, like me, it changed my world, because I went from, with you, it might have been allowing yourself to become this man you are, and to show that there's more to you than the literal world. But for me, it was just to drop the perfectionism. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. Let's be vulnerable. Let's be honest. And then you can recreate the person you want to become. And Gareth, I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad I am. And everybody else, that it's nothing but love. We'll see you again, guys. And Gareth, thank you so much. You're an absolute gent. Up Armagh. Take it easy.